and all between the binary. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I'm Wajeeh Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have so much to talk about today, so let's get into it. To start with the updates of the day, sources tell Al Jazeera technical level talks are now underway in Qatar, the capital of Doha, but senior U.S. Iranian negotiators will not meet to face. Earlier this morning on the Malcolm Nance podcast, we talked that the Iranians aren't there to meet with the Americans. They're not there to negotiate with the Americans. They are there simply to find ways to release the $100 billion in frozen asset controlled by the Qatari government. A foreign container ship runs ground in the Strait of Hormuz after entering shallow water outside of the shipping route, designated by the Iranians, as we like to call it, the Easy Pass. And essentially, what that is that the Iranians, not the Iranians, this boat got their car towed by the Iranian government. So you're going to have to call inbound and you're going to have to pay to get your ship released. It would be way cheaper for you if you just pay the $2 million fee. Just pay it and deal with it, okay? It would be way cheaper. The Iranians are proving that they can make this very expensive on everyone. While you're here, I would appreciate if you would take a second, share this live stream. Make sure you retweet it, whatever you want to call it, so people can come to our live podcast. We got 53 people. If only one person, each of those 53, every one person does share, we have 53 shares. If we have 53 shares, we have so much algorithm. The algorithm already knows, oh, Waji's talking about some important shit. So we should have people come over. Also, I don't know if you know, but I have posted a thread on my channel's chat. I like to call it the chit chat. We have posted there the link for the live stream, but there's also the same thread. You can ask your questions. So go over there. If you have questions that you absolutely don't want me to miss, post it over there so I don't miss it. There's a lot of people that come in here. And if you put your comments at the front, and I'm reading the news or I'm doing some analysis or something like that, I will miss your comment or I will miss your question. Just being honest with you. Uh, so I appreciate your patience. So the Iranian top negotiators says Hormuz news. No, never mind. I miss Stephen Colbert, man. Hormuz news you can use. So the Iranian top negotiator says Hormuz is Tehran's greatest instrument of power and insists that talks on a final deal will not begin until initial provisions are implemented by the United States. So when you look at this, You see two important facts. The first fact is Iran publicly announced that its greatest weapon, the weapon I've been saying is the greatest weapon that Iran has, is their control over the Strait of Hormuz. They're publicly admitting it. Thank you. I have been correct all this time. I don't want to say I told you so, but the proud Arab in me is kind of getting really proud at the moment, okay? I feel like my knowledge is paying somehow, but I told you so. I told you so. I told you that the Iranians' greatest weapon is the Strait of Hormuz. Didn't I? Now the government is coming out and agreeing with me. The government is agreeing with Wajeeh. So, number one, Iran admitted that that's the greatest weapon. Number two, they will continue to use this weapon and they will not come to the table, negotiating table, as long as the United States has not ended wars on all fronts. You have to there are some provisions in the MOU that they agreed upon. You want to sit down and continue negotiating, Habibi? You gotta fulfill your side of the deal. I opened the Strait of Hormuz for a couple of days. You continued attack in Lebanon. I told you stop attacks in Lebanon. You did not want to listen. That's it. Why should I be talking to you? You cannot control your own ally. Turns out there's something more to it, believe it or not. What do you mean, Wajeeh? There's something more to it? Yes, Habibi, there's way more to it than you think. Apparently, J.D. Vance came out in Malcolm Nance podcast. He was telling us. J.D. Vance came out and said that they're using this as an opportunity to get the gas, essentially get a water break, but I'm calling it an oil break. Let the Americans have an oil break for the economy and the military because we ran dry at the moment. Even our reserve has run dry. And as soon as we come to a spot where we feel comfortable again, we'll attack again. That's if you read between the lines. What is this? Apparently, the United States, Habibi, is not done with the endless wars. Our president of peace, may God bless his soul and endeavors his life and blood and honor his uh, 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 l- uh, Royal Highness, that we kneel to our supreme great leader, Donald Trump. You have to kiss the ring. So our leader has been very wise. May God bless his soul and endeavors his life to the end of times. You know, Baba Trump has done something no one else did. No president has done. You know, Usually U.S. presidents do not go and invest in the economy. They have zero trades. In the first Trump administration, he was being strategic, right? He was being smart. He did 50 trades. This administration, Habibi, our president has become a mid-tier billionaire, or and he was an entry-level billionaire, and he's becoming now in the mid-tier, early mid-tier billionaires. What is early mid-tiers? I think 50. How much is he making? How much is Trump worth now? Bloomberg says he is worth 7.5 billion. But how much did Trump? But in this administration, Trump made $1.2 billion. That's just from crypto. This includes another $500 million from world liberty, and another $600 million in royalties linked to the Trump meme coin. He also made another $500 million from Gulf real estate. Other incomes included $52 million licensing his name to overseas properties. Underline overseas properties, please, huh? Developers, and $80 million from media settlement. So this is just few of the numbers, but I need to go back here. I should have had that pulled out. My apologies. But this amazing Baba Trump that we have, he has been very wise. He's been very smart. Let me see here. Between January 6th and March 30th, our supreme leader accounts exceeded 3,642 security transactions, averaging 63 trades per day. The accompanying graph that I have attached to my post demonstrate this volume is historically unprecedented for a sitting executive president prior to since 1990, because we haven't been doing much of that before 1990. Zero individual stocks trades during their terms compared to 50 trades during Trump's first term, while transactions involving companies with federal businesses have generated conflict of interest inquiries, and the Trump Organization states independent third party managers to control the profit executively without trading input from the president or his family. Listen, um, we misjudge him. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, our supreme leader was only taking advantage of the situation, huh? So he was just doing what any other president should do. Yeah. Congress is doing insider trading. Why in trading? Why can't Trump do insider trading, huh? The Congress does it. Let our beautiful supreme leader has his own share in insider trading. Who are you to judge? Huh? Are you God? You know, your democracy now is not that important anymore. There are democracies other places. We are going to have an amazing, great uh, uh, leader that will stay forever. They are doing genetic studies now, so to extend his life. He's very strong, haven't you seen? He exercises every day. Have you seen a world leader as strong as our beautiful supreme leader? You tell me. He's very, very strong. You have to admire our beautiful Baba Trump. And then, he is also smart. He went to the Qataris and told them that, and the Qataris were, showing him around. And they had this plane that was, sitting aside. They haven't been using it for a minute. And they were showing it to Trump. And of course, it was better than anything Trump has seen because it's owned by the Qataris, and Trump doesn't have class like the Qataris do. But our supreme leader fell in love with it. And because the Qataris are so generous and they have prestige and they have high class and they're old money, they felt obligated to give it to Trump. So, usually when you are gifted something, you have to say no. And then usually they have to insist another 2 or 3 times when you say no to make sure that they really mean that they want to give you that gift. But not everyone went to prestige school. So he didn't know these rules. So he just accepted it. And then he found himself in a bit of a pickle. He cannot put the plane under his name. So he wanted to keep the plane for himself. So what do I do? Our supreme leader is smart. He is genius. He said, okay, we will take that plane and gift it to my presidential library. I was I was trying to think about it. What kind of presidential library needs a plane? Maybe if you're flying people. Maybe if you're flying your best friend in those planes, I don't know, but I know history repeats itself. And I know, powerful people don't change. So, what did he want to use the plane for? I have no clue, but maybe you do. But then he got a big backlash. So he decided to change that plan to make it into Air Force One. What do you mean you want to make it into an Air Force One? It's a plane gifted by a foreign nation. You have to take the whole plane apart. You have to debug the plane. You have to install all of the security stuff. And you're probably going to even change the design that's inside the plane. So, if you don't mind me asking, and then you have to install all of the national security stuff. If you don't mind me asking, isn't that a matter of national security? I understand if you want it to be your own private plane after you want to be a president, but turning a plane that was gifted by a foreign country into your Air Force One, when the Air Force One is supposed to be the plane in command of the strongest nation in the world, I think is kind of a misguided decision, Baba Trump. I think you need to think about that again. Maybe if you want to turn the plane into one of those, you know, American humanitarian planes. I have amazing idea. If you wanna do something with the plane, like how we have American hostages at foreign countries. Well, what if we modify that plane so we have a hospital in there, and we have like a medical center basically, and we have a governmental office, and we have a recovery room, and we have a relaxation room. So when we get our hostages out of a place, we don't put them in a beat up military airplane. We can put them in somewhere comfortable where they get really good care on the way back. I mean, that's one idea. I don't know. We have a lot of American hostages, and I think a plane like that would be very helpful. Saudi Arabia has a plane like that for their own hostages or for their own victims, even for their own terrorists. It's a whole plane just designed specifically for that. They have a medical center, they have an office, governmental offices, they have uh, rooms for recovery, they have food, they have showers, they have clothes. They show up ready. So when they land, they can be presented in a very presentable manner to the Americans. And they could be, a little bit recovered on the way home, like starting the recovery. I don't think the United States has a plane like that. You know, it's just an idea. Like Trump was going to build an Air Force One regardless. Why take up like a huge plane by a foreign country that was given to you as a gift? Like you're supposed to build the presidential plane from scratch or something. And also you would think your new design would look like something like the Airbus where they have two full rows rather than a row and a half. I think if we could have had Air Force One with two full rows, that makes more sense. The bottom floor is for the general staff and or the top floors for the general staff and the media or whatever, and the bottom floor is no, actually the bottom floor is like for the military intelligence, the staff, the press, whatever you want to call it, and then the top is the presidential office. I think that makes more sense to have two full rows rather than a row and a half. But I have good ideas. I'm not the president. Of course, my ideas are good. I would be a good dictator, of course, huh? I would never become a dictator. But, Obama was once asked a very good question about becoming a dictator. And I don't remember the exact wording he used, but he said, without any checks and balances, anyone would want to become a dictator, including myself. A very honest answer from him during a time where we actually did care about checks and balances. But when you look at it now, it seems like those words mean a lot more than they meant back then. They hit different. Let's see if I could find your questions. Mashallah, mashallah. You got so many questions. More on what Vance said. I missed the beginning of Black Man Spy. Oh, it wasn't. He didn't say very much long thing. I think he just kept it simple. He's just said that we're essentially. I'm not. Explaining the meaning of what he said. Meaning of what he said is we are here to negotiate a peace deal so we can get essentially a oil break for the economy, for the world economy. And once we get to a sweet spot, we will do something different. What is that different? I'm assuming is going back to war. I don't know, man. Maybe they should someone uh want his luxury plane to end up in his memorial library as a trophy, as if he were some kind of pharaoh. Maybe they will bury him in it. I don't know. They will put all of the awards, the President of Peace, his Nobel Peace Prize, his Trump trophies, grab them by the toot, all of that. They can put it there, and then they can bury him with it. It'd be a big burial, but gives more space for people to take their dogs there. Please respect our supreme leader. Did you see the House would not let Section 219 discussion on the floor? Of course, why would they let the discussion expose their fucking traitorous uh, deals that they are doing to give up with American sovereignty to give it away for free to Israel? I genuinely have no understanding how a country like the United States is willingly giving up its sovereignty. But when I think about it and I learn about what happened in the last few months from the news cycle, I know that the investigation shows that Mossad has not only been spying on U.S. Politicians and representatives and appointed positions. No, they've been blackmailing them as well. What do you mean blackmail? Straight up blackmail. So when we doing blackmail, when we have people openly coming out and supporting it, the Israelis are going to be very happy about it. They can't wait for this to pass. And the scary thing it is bipartisan. So when I tell you we have people in the House and the Senate, whether they're on the Democratic or Republican state, I would call them simply in Arabi الدولة العميقة, the deep state. You see, even Al Jazeera has adopted the terminology deep state, especially in Arabi. What we mean by it is the guys, gals, or the ones in between who are committed to the status quo, committed to the 1%, committed on their personal interest than the national interest, the ones that meet behind closed doors without telling us what we need to know, the ones who are conspiring against the American people. That is my personal definition or the Arabic understanding of a deep state. So the swamps exist, and the swamp only got bigger since our great Baba Trump has become in office. You may wonder why I call him Baba Trump. You see, in Saudi Arabia, you call the king Baba as of a sign respect and, as a way of making the king look cuter. Instead of saying His Royal Highness, His Excellency, His Majesty, the one and only, may God bless his soul, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz. That's if you want to go long title. But if you want to make it cute, you call it Baba Salman, Baba Abdullah, Baba Fahad, Baba Azuz. So, we are going toward the path of having Baba Trump. So might as well, call him Baba Trump. You have to understand the meaning. There's a reason I'm saying Baba Trump. I needed to hit hey. Baba Trump is coming to us. Even NATO now is calling him daddy. You should do something about it if you don't like it. I'm just stating the obvious. No, really. See what other question here. We're closing in an empty US reserve. Thomas is asking a question about the empty U.S. oil reserves. I'm assuming there's several problems that comes with that. Main one is you get down to the sludge. When you have coffee, the coffee pot, at the bottom of the coffee pot, you have the coffee beans. If you're desperate, you pour it all and you drink the rest of it. And you throw the beans when you're done drinking, when you're desperate. But that's what you would end up having. And the other thing is that once you run dry, there needs to be a specific type of cleanup. And that cost a lot of money. From my understanding, when I was a child, maybe I misunderstood or something, but cleaning that thing with the sludge is too much work. Um, and then filling it up takes long time, really long time. So when you run dry, your oil reserves is what you need for your national security, especially when it comes to the military. So what happens when you run out of oil for your military? Well, you cut that oil from the Americans and you direct it to the military. You have to understand the military runs on diesel, jet fuel, some gas here and there, but mostly fuel that is needed for other things in everyday people's lives. So what happens when the military runs out of jet fuel? Well, your planes stop flying. What happens when you run out of diesel? Your trucks runs out of fuel. You understand the idea? The United States apparently have been taking advantage of high oil prices. Our wise leader believed that it would be a great move to support our economy by selling our oil reserves, or the oil before it gets to the reserves, or I don't know how he sold some of the oil reserves, but he figured out something that would make us money when the effect of that was minimal. Well, when you know this is a strategic resource and you decide to sell it knowing that the effects are minimal, then everyone hurts. But that's okay because Trump somehow did some insider trading. He benefited. Our supreme leader was very wise. His Majesty took the right decision. He undercut all of us and his family, of course. You know, these are the chosen ones. These are the chosen ones by the gods. They don't make any mistake. We're the ones at fault here. You have to respect the power. Yeah, I saw Zeus meet up with Jesus, meet up with Muhammad, meet up with Buddha, and they all agreed that these are the chosen one. I'm telling you, there's no way people make that many mistakes and stay in power. There was a conference somewhere up there. Next question. Shouldn't we just accept that Iran and Oman are going to control charge for the Strait and move on? I think the world is moved on with that. Just Europe says that we're against it. Some countries says they're against it, but really, the ones really sitting at as a thorn for that is His Majesty. His Majesty and the Golden White House has chosen to block the blockade. So because he blocked the blockade, we're in control. Get it? He just did his cognitive test and he passed by 100%. You can't tell me he doesn't know. That was a strategic 4D chess move. But yeah, the Strait of Hormuz is being the Strait of Hormuz is being controlled by Iran. the agreement between Oman and Iran is being finalized. And because they are being finalized, things are still being hashed out. In the meantime, because Iran is in direct negotiation with the United States, they will not allow anyone, including Oman, at the moment, have control over the strait. And that is very important when it comes to game theory modeling. When Oman comes in and also starts controlling the Strait of Hormuz, what you end up having is the Iranians lose the upper hand with the negotiations with the United States. And again, I repeat, the Iranian leadership came out and publicly stated that their main weapon is the control of the Strait of Hormuz. So, their weapon to control this conflict, their strongest weapon is the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to let go of it. It doesn't matter what Trump does. That is their power. So as soon as the Trump administration come to the realization that the Strait of Hormuz will be controlled by the Iranians, the sooner we can move on. While you're here, take a second, hit that heart button, destroy that heart button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribing is free. And if you want a free trial for 6 months, I have made a post on my profile where you can get 6 months on the house for free, just to try the premium membership and get access to all of my previous articles, including how slavery in Arabia spread and how Arabs were part of, supported the Indian company, the British Indian company for slave trade. I talked about modern slavery in Arabia. We talked about Shi'i and Sunni uh, conflict history. If you're interested in reading any of those, you can have access to my 6 months free trial of the Wajeeh Lion podcast, and you'll have access to all of my library of writing. I publish on average a article to two articles a day, talking about the latest things in the Middle East or talking about Middle Eastern history, mostly in an educated manner, so you can be learning something and you can have tools at your disposal, fun facts, and important knowledge that you can use in your everyday life, especially when it comes to conversations. So, if that's something you're interested in, and you cannot afford becoming a paid subscriber, go ahead and try that out. If you want to fund my project, if you want to fund the work I do, we solely depend on watchers and readers like you who come in and watch the show. We depend on your financial support. So if you are a person that would like to fund this financially, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. We have the cheapest membership on the platform, $5 a month or $30 a year. We have a VIP membership that is, also that can be depending on your budget, but it goes up to $1,000 for VIPs. Uh, and that's specifically for people who want to give more, and get on my VIP list. So, just something for you guys to consider. Your support means a lot. If you cannot afford supporting me, go to my YouTube channel, drop a like, drop a comment, share it. That helps more than you think, helps us a lot and makes us good money. And that alone is enough for me if that's all you want to do. So we'll continue to the next question. I appreciate you listening to my advertisement and self promotion. A deal like a marriage vow, a promise that when things get hard, and they always do, you don't walk out. You work it through. But this one seems to start with Iran asking for payment upfront before any trust has been built. What marriage starts with pay me first, then we'll see if I stay. Is that really the foundation for lasting deal or just the first sign it won't hold? Well, you have to add more context to this. Sure, this could be a marriage. I wouldn't say a marriage, but if you're going to put it as a marriage, I would say this is an abusive relationship by the Americans that have been involved with the Iranians for a second and an out of relationship. They have had some drama. They were on good terms. And then the Iranians had some self determination and wanted to change some of their ideology. So they had an uprising, kicked out the uh, Shah, and elected a moderate Iranian that has nothing to do with Islamic ideology. And that person wanted an Iranian economic independence and control over the oil and improve the Indian economy. And because my boyfriend at the time didn't like the changes I was making in my life, he decided to beat me up and put back the Shah in place. So I got real mad. And because I got real mad, I decided to go extreme. And I started planning. And I started planning. And I started planning. And I figured out a way to put not a Democratic elected leader, but make an Islamic revolution, baby. I kicked out that boyfriend out of my house and I said, enough is enough. And then those Iranians decided to make their own self independence, like a strong, independent woman. Now, Americans weren't happy that I was only getting stronger and getting better, even though they've been having all these type of uh, uh, pressure on me. They wanted to cut my funding. They wanted to cut my business. They wanted to cut my visitors. They wanted to screw up my friends. And yet, I still found a way to have my education and build a strong nuclear energy foundation. Now that you feel so threatened and so intimidated, you decided to attack me again. So what? I show you who's boss. I took control over the Strait of Hormuz. And I showed not only you, I showed the whole world who's in control, baby. Everyone came begging me, telling me, that's it, mama. Please stop it. We'll be good. We won't do it again. And we don't trust you. So the Iranians are sitting looking at you up and down, like, uh huh. You got to prove it first, baby. I don't trust you. You want to marry me now? I see. Okay. Yep. That's not going to happen, baby. We'll talk, but you got to talk to my friends to talk to your friends to talk to me. So that's how I would answer that question. Do I support the Iranian government? No. All of that was a narration of the relationship between America and Iran. So Iran is like Tammy says, bitch, better have my money. You took my money that we worked for, money that is mine, and you decided to tell everyone not to give that money to me. I know I've been crazy. I've been supporting everyone that doesn't like you, causing trouble in the neighborhood. But guess what? That money is mine. I hope that answers that question. I don't know. That might become someone might cut that and make it a video or something. What do I think about Edward Lutwak? I think I need to read more of his writing. I cannot give you an opinion without reading more of his writing. So I would be lying if I said I have an opinion on him. And usually you would have an opinion once you have formed experience and knowledge and practice. Before then, I feel like people can have their own perspective and opinions on things. But to be in my position where I'm talking about things in front of thousands of people, sometimes hundreds of people here and there, I don't feel comfortable giving an opinion without doing more. Any more questions? Yes. Oil embargo disrupts the global crude supply, which causes crude oil prices to rise sharply since each $1 increase in the prices of barrel of crude oil translate to about 2.5 cents increase per gallon at the pump. Embargo driven supply cuts consistently cause retail gas prices. Oh, this is a long one. Brother, could you elaborate on the question? That's a very long one. I thought it was short and then I opened it. Let's see if you guys have any questions on here. See if you guys have questions here. If you have a problem, go into my channel chat. Go ahead and ask your questions here. Are we still going to hit take bottom July 15th? I think we might have. I don't think the U.S. bought any oil from the Gulf states. Gulf states haven't been able to ship out a lot of their oil. Iran is the main country that has been exporting their oil to pre-war time. So I feel like Asian countries will have some relief, but in terms of the United States, we're still at a critical situation where we still don't know what we're doing. I don't think the Americans have bought any oil from Iran yet, at least from my understanding, not. But maybe that should be a research should work on for the next few days to figure out where is the U.S. going to be bringing its oil, since Iran is the only country, you know, selling oil at the moment for the most part. I mean, some Gulf states are getting some of their oil out, but not like the pre-war. So, I mean, you could have a band-aid on a very big wound, but what is that going to do? I believe, yes, we are still selling our oil reserves, and that is not helping. We must keep in mind the reason why I'm putting this information up there is because it's strategic petroleum reserve we created to prevent this from happening again like it did. Yes, but like Malcolm Nance like to tell me, don't bring your common sense here. The one in office, the our beautiful Baba Trump is is uh, does not follow this common sense. Okay, he has his own strategies. All of the preventions of the reserves and because of the OPEC, yeah, that was in the old days. Now we have someone that plays 5D chess. He can see it, he can hear it, he can smell it, he can taste it. 5D chess. Remember, 21 doctors checked on him and they all said he's doing amazing. He must have come from Pluto or Mars. He was sent from heaven. I told you he's one of the chosen ones. You don't want to believe me? We are selling out our oil reserve. Answer that. When we when he heard the words. Yeah, yeah. Everything is about when he heard the word strategic, he thought it was about making money. Absolutely. How you make money using our American strategic I bet you he bought shares in one of these oil companies. I'm 100% sure. In my guts, I feel it. If I look it up, I'll probably find it. He came from hell. You don't respect your leaders. You see, in our countries like Arabia, you have to have respect for your leaders. Americans don't have respect for their leaders. They're all Antifa or anarchists or Confederates. Yeah, they're all the yeah, yeah. I'm joking, of course, but making a point. Uh, And you got a whole bunch of people against the country. KKK, far right, QAnon, all of Americans, Antifa. But if you are person who's out there trying to bring down the government, you are doing the good work because you're fighting for our supreme leader. All of you are betrayers. You have no respect for the power at the White House. Trump won all of the elections. He won the Obama election. He won the George Bush election. He won the Clinton election. He won the George Bush election. He won the Nixon election. Who are you? His face is all going to be on your dollar bills. All of the presidents died and then they put them on the dollar bill. Our supreme leader is the only one that will be on the dollar bill that is alive because we know he will live forever. I'm currently in Ankara and I get to see a huge mural of Erdogan and his uh, aviator. When I look out the window, Trump would love to have these all over America, and I'm sure he'll be so jealous of his presidential palace next week. Oh my God, you have no idea. Trump wants to turn the White House into a presidential palace. He would love to have a presidential palace. In fact, I also believe he would love to have his faces everywhere. That's right. But you have to know also Erdogan is a great supreme leader of Turkey. Yeah. Erdogan made sure to shut down all of his critics. So, from one supreme leader to another, they can exchange ideas, they can exchange UFC fights, they can exchange, some money here and there, they can exchange projects, they can exchange, secrets. So, and usually foreign supreme leaders, because they have experience dealing with other supreme leaders, they know how to please them without giving up their most important assets. Unfortunately, our great leader doesn't have expertise, and the White House hasn't been made to deal with these type of situation. And Jared Kushner and Witkoff don't have experience being also, aristocrats like the rest of the world. Now, they all want to be aristocrats, but, because you want to be doesn't mean you know how to do it. So they need to go to practice school. They need to go to the Saudi school of dictatorship, the Qatari school of the know how, the Turkish school of manipulation, the Pakistani school of, uh, you know, uh, attacking your neighbors. You have to go to these schools of teaching. You have to practice. But unfortunately, our leader have not done that. There's more prestigious schools out there for dictatorship, like the Kim Jong Un school of the only one ruler. There is also another prestigious school out there. The school of uh, the Pooh the Bear in China. Gives really really good strategies of how to take over. There are good schools out there of how to become a good dictator. He hasn't sent his kids there. Maybe he should send Bear and Trump to college over there. The future generation of the Trump imperial palace. Any other questions? There is questions. Our supreme leader has a very special intelligence. We must give him all his due respect. Absolutely, Tofu. The supreme leader, you know, has to get his McDonald's, has to get his KFC, and it has to travel with him everywhere. All of these other supreme leaders have no good taste. They hire private chefs. They have their own cooks. What is this bullshit? The best food America can provide, KFC and McDonald's and Coca-Cola. All of these other people don't have any taste, no prestige, no class. We have to teach the world the new class, the new standards of American living. Yeah. It's so good, even the supreme leader only eats that. And then, you're talking about all these puffy things in his feet and his hands. This from working out. He's going hard every day. What do you know about that? Do you work hard every day? He dropped the weight on his hand one time. You don't know. He's at the gym. Dun, 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 dun. Are you doing gym exercises like that, like the president? You see, Obama used to go running outside. Biden used to ride his bike. George Bush used to walk around the neighborhood. Our president goes to the gym and swing the golf. The problem with Biden, his brain used to go somewhere else all the time. So even when he's like climbing the stairs to Air Force One, his brain is somewhere else. That's why he tripped. If he's focused, we wouldn't have been in that situation. But what can you say? You say golf courses are an agriculture, uh, what? Agriculture obscenity. What do you know about agriculture? These golf courses look beautiful. They bring humans and they cut all the trees and they make different grasses and they make specific lakes and they break the windows in the neighborhood. What do you know? These golf courses are a human invention of the great human brain of how I can consume for my own good. What do you know about consumption? Huh? Some people were believe that they were created and this world was created for their human consumption. That's their religious belief. In Islam, I forgot the verse. 1 second. آية تسيير الأرض للإنسان. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. The other one is this one means he created God. They're talking about God. Created this earth for your use. So walk on it and eat from it, and from it you grow. That's the first verse from Surah Al-Mulk. Another verse from Surah Taha, the verses from Taha. الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا لكم الأرض sorry الذي جعل لكم الأرض مهدا وسلك لكم فيها سبلا وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به أزواجا من نبات شتى. And in Al-Baqarah, this one means similar to the first one, that God has made the earth flat and made it easy for you and has rained the sky and has risen the plants for you from different kinds. The last one, الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم. This one says, and he created the earth for you as a bed and rained the sky again. And fruits came out as a gift to you from God. If you ask any religious clerk in Islam, he would tell you that the meaning of these ayat or verses, and there's other stuff that I haven't found yet. I'm sure I usually need a minute to pull them out, but since we're talking about it. So some people believe that the world was created for their own consumption. So killing as many animals doesn't matter. Consuming as many, these are bad interpretation of the Quran, but some people will take these interpretations and say, what do you mean? This is meant for my consumption. The golf courses, and you see that in the Saudi way of making things happen in Arabia. So like in Saudi Arabia, you'll see them trying to seed the sky to rain water. You'll see the treatment of animals by some people as their own property rather like their own individual beings. They see that workers are there to serve them. I mean, like there's many examples, but the view is that this earth was created for my consumption because this earth is not meant to last forever. We are to consume it, and then after we consume it, at some point the day of judgment comes, and then we go to the year after, and the day of judgment, and you either go to heaven or hell, and from there you live your infinity life. Well, if you think you're going to live an infinity life somewhere else, and you believe that this world is meant to end and this world is meant for your consumption, what is to stop you from believing that these golf courses aren't a good thing for humanity? That consuming oil and making global warming is just a normal piece of society. We need to ask our religious leaders to address that, whether it's from Muslims or from other faiths, because I know other faiths have something similar to it. We need to rethink how we think about the world that we live in. We need to stop thinking that it is meant for consumption and start thinking that it is meant for cohabitating. You live with the wild, you live with nature, you live with Mother Earth. You don't live using them, abusing them, thinking it is something that you can consume and move on. We got to rethink about a lot of things that we do. See if I have any more questions. We got a lot of people coming in today. Thank you so much for everyone that is tuning in. I really appreciate you support. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you listening to me. I will give you more time to write your questions or comments and I will read them. I have about 16% left on my phone battery. Someone was telling me to connect my phone to the battery. Well, there's an interesting fact. My phone is connected by wire to this. So I can't charge my phone while I'm on live. And until I have enough money to buy a computer and buy a desktop setup and a camera so I could do these live streams from my computer. Will be this situation. I generally have the conditioning to go for 3 4 hours. I've had more than 12-hour, 24-hour live streams before, and I've done them on Twitter, specifically regarding some human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. I forgot how long we went, but we went like 12 hours plus. And it was about some prisoners in Saudi Arabia, and we essentially were holding the space for them. So the conditioning is there to go for hours and hours. It's just we don't have the supply, we don't have the funds, and we don't have the enough support to invest in all of these equipment, um, and also take care of my medical bills and take care of my college bills and take care of the your living situation. So at the moment, we're very limited, but I'm very grateful for all your support. I am saving up for these equipments so I can give you better experience. You have invested in me, and I'm invested in educating you. um, there is a relationship that we have created where we are trying to create a community that are built of critical thinkers, ones who are wanting to make a difference, ones who are trying to make coalitions. I'm still waiting to hear back from Justice about her schedule, about the grassroots organizing. I reached out to a ex NPR journalist, and I don't know if she's still a professor at Columbia University in New York, but she's a journalist, a renowned journalist, and a friend of Jamal Khashoggi. She is. We're finding a time so I could have her over on the podcast. We're still working on getting you more experts and more professionals on the camera, so you have access to people who have been doing this for a while and access to their information. I like to ask questions that allow these professionals to get out of their shells and start. And a lot of times I try to remove that scripted talk when I'm having these conversations with individuals. And we end up in a situation where you could see us thinking on the spot. And that's what's special about my type of interviews is that we are not scripted. We have bullet points of topics that we want to talk about, issues that we want to cover, but we don't script any of these conversations. You're seeing us literally on the spot, thinking on the spot, talking on the spot, analyzing issues, and that kind of gives you an unfiltrated intelligence and unfiltrated knowledge that usually when you're scripted, it doesn't feel genuine and it doesn't feel real, and it feels like some of the information might be faked. But when I do make a mistake or when someone points out the mistake that I said, I'm more than happy to correct it. I try to look up all the facts beforehand, and I have made mistakes, and I believe I will make mistakes. I'm not a god. I am a human being, and I will make flaws. And when you guys hold me up to it, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. That would be great to have guest speakers. Thank you. The Catholic Church puts out and what you speak about regarding Earth. All faith need to speak about it, about care for our Mother Earth. Yeah, I agree with you. It's nice to hear that the Catholic Church. I've been seeing the Catholic Church really come around on a lot of things that have been, had questions on, and I feel like there's still a lot of problems that the Catholic Church needs to face. There's a lot of people they need to hold responsible for a lot of the crimes they have made, whether it's embezzlement, sexual assaults, so on and so forth. These individuals need to be held responsible, just like the list of people that we want to hold responsible in Jeffrey Epstein files. These names that come out of religious leaders that have committed sexual assaults need to be held accountable by society. But something I really appreciate is that the Catholic Church during the uh, Pope Francis, they went around to indigenous populations that they have violated and oppressed, and apologized for the church mistake. And you really see that respect recipro- reciprocated when Pope Francis passed away. All the indigenous minority population from across the world showed up for his funeral. That tells you a thing or two. YG story time is good. Thank you. This is Thomas Jefferson on a private property. Sounds like a socialist or AOC sounds good to me. Believe it or not, there are more social democrats getting elected, and that tells you everything you need to know about the Democratic Party having its own Tea Party moment. People are tired of the uh, they're tired of the establishment. They have had enough from an establishment that kept repeating the same mistakes. We will hold people accountable. No one gets accountable. We'll give you free food. No one gets free food. We'll give you housing. No one gets housing. We'll give you better economy. No one gets better economy. What the fuck is happening? And then Mamdani gets in office, and all of a sudden he presses a button, and we're looking around and we're like, that's all it took. Literally, just standing up and making your decision that is against the establishment, being a butt to everyone that doesn't want to change the status quo. That's all. Taking criticism? Well, shit. We could have done that a long, long time ago. United States could have people in the Democratic Party could have been choosing people on the socialist Democratic for a while. Democrats just have been so afraid of being called socialists by people from the Republican side. Bitch, no one cares. You got to focus on the economy. You got to focus on the class war. Stop focusing on the culture war. People will vote for you. They don't care. People don't care about the titles anymore. They just want a good economy. They want they want good governmental services. They want to call Social Security and have people that are happy to pick up the phone and want to help you and figure out your details get you your Medicare, get you your disability, not drive you against the wall, not figure out why you can't buy your pills, why figure out well you can't go to your doctor, why figure out I want to have I want to call a government that want to support me. I'm tired of calling the government every time and I'm having people who are just rude, tired, disgusting, feel I'm sure they're going through a lot of pressure. I'm sure a lot of people are quitting. I'm sure they're in not a good situation. But that's systematic. I'm not blaming the people working there. I'm just saying, I'm sure y'all are tired of that too. I don't know if you know, but you might live in a city that the DMV is licensed to a private company. You might be in a city where your governmental services, because someone paid someone that is running for office in the governor's office or whatever, and they won, now they get some favors. And those favors is they get to have private contracts to run government services. You think these private company care about how happy you are? No. They bribed the motherfucker to get it. I dare you go to a social security office and not have to wait 2 hours. I dare you to call social security number and not have to be on hold for 3 or 4 hours. Yesterday, I wasn't posting as much because I was just between social security and my medical appointments. We need people fixing that shit. I'm talking to people that are all affected by it. I know more than 70% of my followers are above 50 years old. Most of you are tired and sick of it. The experts are leaving because their expert advice is not being respected. Doge was there and destroyed all of our government. No, these are all amazing decisions made by a very wise man. He is the richest man in the world, and therefore we should listen to him. Who is it? A Nazi salute motherfucker, Elon Musk. We have to call him his Prince's Majesty now. How is no one awake to the fact that the billionaire, almost a trillionaire, okay, not only is the richest person on the planet, but owns X and is actively pushing culture war? What have I been telling you? The rich control the culture war, and you and I are paying for it. Stupid motherfuckers believe in going to fucking Mars while we don't even have the technology, the intelligence, the product, the resources to build something that would withstand the all the type of waves and radiations that are in the space, and we haven't even discovered 90% of the ocean, and somehow we're trying to go to Mars. You haven't discovered most of the ocean. Why are you looking out there? That's again the mentality of consumption because these people especially billionaires, they view things in the eye of consumption. Once I'm done using everything on this planet, I will need more resources. I will need a different place to consume. Well, when you need a different place to consume, that just tells you everything about our society. We have a society that doesn't care about sustainability, that is looking at its own global world as something that you can consume and throw away. And it's amazing that we want to go somewhere like Canada. I would love to go somewhere like Canada. But apparently, finding a lawyer to go to Canada is impossible these days. I just plugged in my phone to the charger. Someone, right? Do you have any paid subscriber Zoom in the future? We will have a Zoom meeting. I am working on it with Mama K. I apologize for the delay. I think I will find a different time than the morning because I feel like the morning just cannot be replaced with anything. Um, so next time we'll just have the morning Q&A, and we'll find a different time, maybe on a weekend when people are off and are able to join us. We'll do something. Maybe Saturday or Sunday I'll talk to Mama K about it. There's someone else that also volunteered to help set it up. I'll We'll figure something out. Weekend, yes. Planning on the weekend. We'll see. Who's LK? LK subscribe to me. What? Excited to hear what the Dust Bunny have to chat about today. Bouncing back and forth to watch. Someone is bouncing back between two live streams. That's funny. Mine and someone else, apparently. Well, I hope that you liked my joke today. I have published an article about the falling out between the United States and India out of all the countries in the world. I also published an article yesterday about the secret war that the UAE has in Sudan and the genocide that no one is talking about. So, if you want to learn about the actual genocide, if you are interested about what's happening in Africa under your noses and something that the large media is not covering for you, I have been publishing that for you, and they're free at the moment. And I would advise you to go and read it now before it has a paywall. If you want to bypass the paywall, I do have a 6 month trial link in my profile. I made it in a post recently today. So if you click on that link, you'll get 6 months. But if you want to actually financially support me, we do depend on listeners and readers like you to fund our uh, project. Our membership is $5 a month or $35 a year. And our VIP is with $1,000, but that is for people who are really interested in funding my project. I'm just making it possible for those individuals. But thank you for everyone that is a free subscriber or paid subscriber or getting on a trial. That means a lot to me. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're here and haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to my YouTube channel. Apparently, I have pissed off the Israeli government, and they have been sending people to report essentially every single video I post on YouTube at the moment, whether it has something to do with the U.S. Israeli conflict with Iran and Lebanon, and or not. So that your support basically tells the algorithm that there's nothing wrong with my video. The algorithm right now in YouTube uses a lot of AI and uses a lot of people who are just, like Tinder, switching right and left, from my understanding from people. And it's really, really annoying. So I've, I've been just telling the truth, nothing but the truth. And when you piss off people on both sides, you know that you are being, in the center. You're not being, you're trying not to be, uh, I try not to take a side, but when you are giving analysis, there is no side. Like when I do game theory analysis and I give you hypothesis one, hypothesis two, hypothesis three, hypothesis four, right? I give you different scenarios. The reason I do that is because if I give you one scenario, it's because either I can't think of another scenario or I'm not being honest with you. And if I can't, if someone is not being honest with you and not presenting you with scenarios that have 0% chances of happening, all of a sudden I look like I'm pushing a certain agenda. But the reality is, if you look at my writing, a lot of times I come up with different scenarios. I come up with game theory analysis. And the importance of doing these game theories is not just because it's fun. It because it gets objectives to the information that you have. You're taking the information that you just gotten it and you're applying it to different scenarios, whether it's a stag hunt, whether there's the prisoner dilemma, whether it's the free riders dilemma. All of these things, all of these game theories, they're not because I'm trying to be fun or I'm trying to be smart. No, if I'm trying to solve something that is very complicated and very hairy and involves different parties and involves multiple decision makers and multiple possibilities, then you need game theory. Well, when I use game theory and I come up with an analysis that is particularly opinionated in a way, yes, but it's based on and game theory analysis. It's not something I came up with. It's some like facts that you take together, apply it to a methodology, and that methodology helps you come up with an answer. If that pisses you off, I'm not sorry. Or if I'm criticizing a political regime, political strategy, political analysis, that's just, I'm criticizing power. I'm criticizing systems. that has nothing to do with your individuality. It has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with your existence. It's like when I go and criticize part of, because I specialize in anti extremism in Islam, and I criticize extremist Muslims, or when I criticize Islamic ideology, or when I criticize part of the Quran that has some extremist ideas, all of a sudden I'm uh, Islamophobic, even though I grew up in one of the biggest Islamic houses and I'm a direct descendant of the Prophet. Well, no, that's not Islamophobic. I criticized a book. I criticized an idea. And when you have a problem with me criticizing ideas and issues, then you have a problem with my right of thinking. You have a problem with my right of exercising my basic rights. What is your problem here? Whether you're a Muslim having an issue with my criticism about Islamic ideologies, or whether you're an Israeli having a problem with me criticizing Netanyahu or Ben Gavir, or like when I criticize MBS, I have some Saudis come out and, oh, you're a betrayer against the government. You think when I criticize MBS is because I hate him? No, I don't even consider myself Saudi opposition because I see that too far opinionated. I criticize MBS because I see mistakes he's making and he's wasting resources or destroying the country or not using the right strategy. But that for some people apparently in Saudi Arabia that you're anti-nationalist, you're anti-Saudi, you're not you're a betrayer of your country. If that's how you see criticism of leadership, then your vision is being short. And that's okay because that's what we have been taught all the time. Anyone that says something that doesn't match what you've been taught since your childhood, or the sudden that person is untrustworthy, this person is not human, this person is not worthy of living, this person shouldn't be with us, this person, you start coming up with all this shit. Let's see. Let's see. I need to do something here. Thank you for everyone that is tuning in, by the way. I just plugged in my phone to the charger and unplugged the mic just to extend this podcast a little longer for you guys. Yeah, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, live recording ready. Perfect. See. Okay. We have this. Everyone podcast. Sent now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I got a notification that the live recording from earlier this morning with Malcolm Nance is ready for publication. So there are people that are wanting to watch that, so I made that available for them. Sorry, going through a storm and it has knocked out my power. I'm so sorry for that. And it seems like a lot of Americans are going through uh, some Mother Nature crisis at the moment, whether it's heat strokes or whether it's, storms. So I'm wishing all the Americans safety, and let's remember our brothers and sisters in humanity uh, in Venezuela, I believe. A 7.3 and a 7.5 earthquake hit back after back, uh, where we, as of 15 hours ago, I need to update my information. We have this happened on June 24th, that targeted a that triggered a severe human crisis. The verified data confirms so far 190,943 fatalities and 10,571 injuries, with a estimate of 43,200 individuals remaining unaccounted for. The international search and rescue teams are currently excavating the rubbles of approximately 58,000 damaged or destroyed structures. Casualty figures are projected to rise as recovery operation continues across severely affected areas like uh, Caracas or La Goya. So, if you are religious, I'm not religious. Uh, Hold them in your prayers. If you are a person that believes in energy, send them good energy. If you have the capabilities and the knowledge and the ability to go and help with the efforts of search and rescue, please consider be going there and helping with search and rescue. If you're a doctor, please consider joining Doctors Without Borders and going there. If you're an engineer, I hope you're joining the engineers. I forgot what they're called, but they have also army of engineers or something like that. They've joined them and see if you could go and help as well. Countries in the Middle East are sending their rescue staff to help with this. But if you think about it, there's 58,000 damaged structures and 43,000 people missing. Um, so it feels like whatever we sent is not enough in my, in my estimate. We need to send a lot more. So if you have any capabilities to help these poor people at the time, please consider helping them. Um, yeah. Your other thing you need to consider is you have elections coming up, midterm elections. Start, looking up when is your midterm election, whether you can vote early or not. There's a lot of changes happening. There's a lot of redistricting happening. There's a lot of policies being issued. So take a second and start doing your homework. because it'll come really quickly without you knowing. So if you have like 30 minutes to an hour to look at who, what are the new policies, who is running, who's considered a person that will essentially um, not establishment and who's establishment, who has my best interests and who doesn't have my best interests. Do not be fooled by certain names of projects. Like if you have something called the right to work, know that that is something that will take your right to work away. There's some things named silly like that that will fool you and easily make you want to vote for them, even though it has nothing to do with giving you more rights. It has more to do with making it harder for you to have unions. It's hard making it hard for you to have better laws and protections for your workplace. It's meant to bankrupt unions. So, you know, unfortunately, voting in the U.S. is tricky. People play uh, on words, especially when it is a ballot vote. So take a second, think about your vote, and think about where you need to go. I'm not seeing any new questions. So I can't vote yet, by the way. I'm waiting to a point where I can vote. Hopefully soon. I can apply for my citizenship in August. So that'll take a lot of money. Apparently the application and stuff like $5,000 with some lawyer fees. Yeah, it's not cheap, but I'll figure it out. Civil disobedience to remove the regime happening now at the Capitol. What? Ground news. Where's my ground news? Ground news. I need US politics. Top US. No, I need updated. Banking, social media, YouTube. What is this? Watch. Civil disobedience to remove regime change. Civil disobedience to remove regime change. This is happening. Okay, Al Green filed the articles of impeachment. This is performative. It is not meaningful. He's saying they're going to try to do this on a daily basis. There's a press conference. Let me see if I could pull it out for you guys.
Change here today. In a few moments, after our esteemed speakers also speak to you about the gravity of this moment, you are going to be acquainted with somebody who is putting everything on the line for this country. A 17-year military career, multiple medals of honor. This is the example of sacrifice that members of Congress need to see and confront. They need to confront the betrayal of every man and woman in uniform that has put their lives on the line to defend our rights and our freedom over the past 250 years. We're bringing it to their doorstep today. I want to start off with introducing somebody who served this country, a veteran of the Air Force. She is the co-founder of one of our core and essential members at the Removal Coalition, Citizens Impeachment, which has been engaged in nonstop lobbying from coast to coast in every state of members of Congress to just do their damn job. I'm very grateful to be standing beside her here today and have stood beside her in this fight for over a year now. Please join me in welcoming Air Force veteran Kira Havens.
Hi, friends. Can everybody hear me okay? My name is Kira Havens. I am a veteran of the United States Air Force. When I was active duty, my job was to launch nuclear missiles at the direction of the president. I was an ICBM crew commander. That institution, that weapon system, that trust that I was required to place in our country required a statesman at the helm. It required a president who could think beyond themselves, who could think about America and its place in the world and its place in as a global power responsible to its citizens. We do not have that today. For 18 months, this Congress has sat by and watched while this destructive president and his administration has engaged in tyranny, trampling the rights of individuals, of Congress itself, of our allies, while he has engaged in treason, assembling men for the purpose of revolutionizing the government by force, while he has engaged in obstruction of justice, in particular, his refusal to seek justice in the case of Epstein. And they have stood by while massive corruption has taken place at every level of the government. In all of this, Congress, who has more power than the individual citizens, who has the power to initiate impeachment and pursue it on their own, to say for the good of the country, we must step up and defend the Constitution against this leader, this domestic enemy that is hollowing out the country from the inside. Instead, they have sat by and done nothing. And as we all know, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people. We need folks who are willing to take action, who are willing to step up, who are willing to sacrifice for the good of the country and its citizens. There are people out there who will take this step. And one of them is here with us today. I'm deeply honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Now, I know we're kind of living in a little bit of a twilight zone here where most of the activists and the people that you see here today do not understand why our typical politicians and media treat every day of this illegal regime as just another day in American politics. Why they think they can talk about impeachment like some fringe idea or like something that can be debated until after the midterms. How many people are going to die between now and the midterms in Trump's illegal war, in the concentration camps that are currently filled at 3 times the rate that they were in 1939 in Nazi Germany? How many more extrajudicial murders are going to happen on the Caribbean? How many more prosecutions illegally will be brought by this corrupt Department of Justice? How much suffering has to happen because these people do not want to do their jobs? I want to remind everyone that our mission and our campaign here at the Removal Coalition and Remove the Regime Citizens Impeachment, you can visit us at removetheregime.com, is to pressure members of Congress to act now, not after the midterms, now, to file and force votes on articles of impeachment. There are currently 13 articles that were filed back in April when Trump made his genocidal threats against Iran by Representative John Larson of Connecticut. I want to know why Representative Larson has not invoked Rule 9 like Representative Al Green and forced a vote on those articles. We are here today to demand that Representative Larson invoke Rule 9 as soon as this House gets back in session. Now, we are very privileged today to be joined by someone who is actually one of the drafters of those articles that are currently on file in the House. He is somebody who has been instrumental in the impeachment fight, the fight for accountability, honestly, for decades, because what we're witnessing right now is the result of so many generations of impunity when it comes to the utilization of Article 2, Section 4. He works with Ralph Nader, also a tireless advocate, and I'm really honored to have him here with me today, constitutional scholar Bruce Fein.
Well, thank you for that generous introduction. I always feel compelled to alert the audience that nothing was said under oath. You're able to exaggerate. I've been involved in the impeachment process ever since Brigade in 1973. And I remember the courage at that time that I witnessed. It was an inspiration. This was October 20th, 1973. At the Justice Department, a call comes from the White House, General Alexander Haig. And he says, in the imitation of a country we dare not mention, your commander-in-chief has given you an order. Fire Archibald Cox. He's getting too close to the presidency. The Attorney General at that time was Elliot Richardson. He said, no, I'm not firing Archibald Cox. I'll resign. He was followed by William Ruckelshaus and many others. The American people wrote in 40, 50,000 telegrams a day to Congress, demanding that there be a new special prosecutor investigating the crimes of President Nixon, or he would be impeached and removed from office. It was that generation of public support that carried the day. You remember Mr. Nixon in 1972? He won 49 out of 50 states, 524 electoral votes, 61% of the popular vote. He was out of office in 16 months. He resigned because the American people and Congress did what they needed to do. Now, the chief charge against President Nixon was obstruction of justice, which under Mr. Trump is a way of life. It's really every day. It's not a unique cover-up of a burglary of the Democratic National Committee. And I think there's an additional way to look at the imperative of impeaching and removing Mr. Trump from office, because if what he does goes with impunity, he will have set a precedent that lies around like a loaded weapon for any despot to come in and overthrow the republic. You remember, he famously told the New York Times, the only check on my power, only, not the Constitution, not the rule of law, not even a supreme being, is his own moral conscience. And he acts accordingly. That's the only check. What about his oath of office? It's enshrined in Article 2, Section 2, to uphold, defend, and preserve the Constitution of the United States. Now, I think I can underscore, the urgency of our mission here today by raising the hypothetical. Suppose Donald Trump was there July 4, 1776, and there's a choice. He can, like the 56 signatories, sign his death warrant to preserve unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government by the consent of the governed. That's one choice. The other choice is to align himself with King George III. He kind of has an affinity for despots and kings anyway. He likes to dress up like them and at least have de facto a crown. Now, can anyone in this audience say with any confidence that he would have joined the signatories of the Declaration of Independence and signed his death warrant? You know what the answer is, which means that we have a president in the White House who is more Benedict Arnold than George Washington. That should be conclusive immediately. I want to say a few words about Al Green, a man of heroic stature. And I'm reminded he's the one person who has stood up, forced to vote on impeachment. He's lonely now, but I want to remind everyone here and Al, there are only two members of Congress who voted against the calamitous Gulf of Tonkin resolution on August 8, 1964, Wayne Morris and Ernest Gruning. The two out of all members of Congress, yet they got it right. They're heroized. At least they got it right. And Al Green, if you have to be the first one to get it right, you've understood and recognized you're willing to take that risk. I'd like to, however, go above the members of Congress to the American people. When Benjamin Franklin exited the Constitutional Convention, he was asked by Miss Powell, well, what have you given us? A republic or a monarchy? And he responded, a republic if you can keep it, meaning we the people need to keep the republic by forcing pressure on Congress through our votes, through our advocacy. It's ultimately the American people who are going to make Congress awakened to their duty. Having worked in this institution for perhaps 50 years, now they do not have a conscience that will work on its own. They won't do the right thing unless the right thing is what the people demand. And that's where I think the ball rests, in addition to members of Congress. It's up to us, talking to our friends, talking to our family, talking in the church, in the mosque, in the synagogue, elsewhere. We have to rid this person again. He is Benedict Arnold, not George Washington. Can we survive a Benedict Arnold in the White House? So the last words go back to Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the Civil War. And the Gettysburg Address, the world will little note nor long remember what I say, but it will surely never forget what the American people and Congress do here. And he added, then, as is true today, we shall nobly save or meanly lose the bassless hope on earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. He just spoke about the need for people to show this pressure. These people don't do their jobs on their own. They only react to our pressure on them. That was the whole reason why I recognize this need for the Removal Coalition. And our esteemed guest is going to talk today so much about the power and need for people to apply this pressure. I just want to put a call out here right now to fellow activists while I have your captive attention. Again, this was the goal of the Removal Coalition in its inception. You cannot guess that when you mass mobilize people on the streets that your demand is going to be known without explicitly stating it. The will is here in this country for Trump's impeachment and removal. Over 55%. That's a historic high, rivaling the time when Nixon resigned and Trump's second impeachment after his deadly insurrection on this building. There is the will. It just has to be articulated. I'm talking to you, Ezra and Leah of Indivisible. I'm talking to the national organizers of 5051. I'm talking to anyone with massive platforms and massive reach to explicitly demand impeachment and removal through their platforms, through their mass protests. Can you imagine? We did this at the Removal Coalition. We called for 328, the last no kings, for everyone to adopt impeach, convict, remove. Can you imagine, instead of being called no kings, if it were called impeach, convict, remove the regime? And the entire span of media coverage on those nationwide events of millions of people were telling the world that the people were demanding Trump's removal. it would be an entirely different construct for the way these members of Congress have to react. We've been giving them cover, and we need to stop doing that. And anybody in the organizing space who is not doing that is helping these people get away with their betrayal. So on that note, we have somebody today, as I mentioned, who is putting it all on the line.
That's the
Who is
person
going
I'm
to be
waiting to
living
hear
proof
from.
to you right here in the flesh that there is not a second to waste, that we cannot afford to live in our comforts and our complacency. This man is a U.S. Air Force major. He is currently on leave from his commission post as a logistics readiness officer in Poland. He has spent much of his 17 years in Europe, all over the globe, defending this country, working with NATO, understanding what an oath to protect and defend the Constitution means. He came to us at the Removal Coalition back in February and asked us to create this event for him, to create this unveiling, because he does not want this to be in vain. I'm talking to all of you and to everybody watching today. The question of whether or not his sacrifice, his risk of prosecution, his potential forfeiture of the benefits of an entire 17-year career in the military is worth it, is whether you follow through with the pressure that is needed on Congress to impeach, convict, and remove. Please, without further ado, join me in welcoming. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome to this conference Major Jason Watson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Jessica Denson for making all of this possible. Thank you, Jessica. You are a hero and a patriot. Thank you to Representative Al Green for being here for this moment and lending his support. I'm grateful for the support of the many groups represented here that believe in the message I am here to share with you. I'm also grateful beyond words for my friends and allies that have helped me navigate my way to this point, investing much of their time, effort, and advice. A tremendous thank you to the defenders of our republic community, whether they are here now with me or out there doing the work needed to restore responsible governance to our country. Lastly, a heartfelt thank you to my parents, whom I love more than they know, for doing such an incredible job raising me to be the man I am today. My name is Jason Watson. I'm an active duty major in the United States Air Force. However, who I am is immaterial. In the grand scheme of things, I'm just a nobody. What matters far more than who I am is what I have to say and the price I'm willing to pay to say it. I, Jason Paul Watson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. I first swore this oath over 20 years ago upon entering basic cadet training at the United States Air Force Academy in late June of 2005. I've repeated it many times over since then. The oath of office means everything to me. It is foundational to our system of governance in the United States. The oath ensures that officials of our government owe allegiance not to any individual or political party, but to our Constitution and the democratic republic it represents. Our Constitution binds us all together as Americans. Like countless veterans before me, military members serving now, I have devoted my life in service to our democratic republic, always doing my best to honor my oath and protect America against foreign threats. But the greatest threat to our democratic republic is not a foreign one. It is us, we the people, not just the left or just the right or just the center, all of us together define who we are as Americans. And like it or not, we have all played a part, myself included, in getting ourselves into this mess we are all in. The burden of that culpability is much heavier for some amongst us than others. Undeniably, and for those with a lion's share of guilt, such as those currently running the executive branch of the government, the bill must come due. But all of us have a share. For the past 18 months, we the people have allowed the highest levels of the executive branch of the federal government to violate our Constitution and their oaths to it with impunity. When the President of the United States orders military action against foreign countries, absent an emergency scenario where American interests are under imminent, dire threat, as was done with Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran, that's an unconstitutional usurpation of Congress's authority and a violation of the War Powers Clause. These violations resulted in the deaths of 13 service members and injuries of hundreds more. For this, the president and vice president must be impeached, convicted, and removed. When the president of the United States grants an unelected mega donor sweeping authority to shut down large swaths of our federal government, along with unrestricted access to our government databases, that's an unconstitutional circumvention of Congress's advise and consent authority under the Appointments Clause and Congress's power of the purse under the Appropriations Clause. These violations exposed every American's personal sensitive data to leaks and exploitation, illegally terminated tens of thousands of federal civil servants, and crippled support for Americans for medical care and disaster preparedness, and by far most tragically, resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of the world's most impoverished people with inhumanely abrupt cessation of U.S. aid. For this, the president and vice president must be impeached, convicted, and removed. When the President of the United States directs the Department of Homeland Security to deny hundreds of people any due process before illegally detaining them and sending them to a foreign prison notorious for human rights abuses, that's a violation of our Fifth and Eighth Amendment rights. Most people sent to CCOT never committed any violent crimes in their entire lives, but are being defamed as violent criminals to this day as a pretext for the torture they suffered in El Salvador, paid for with U.S. taxpayer dollars. For this, the president and vice president must be impeached, convicted, and removed. When the president of the United States sponsors violence on the American people, engaged in their constitutional right to peacefully assemble and protest, that's a violation of our First Amendment rights. Pastors praying for DHS agents violently attacked without provocation, a legal observer losing an eye after being shot with a non-lethal by an ICE agent, a woman attempting to follow chaotic and contradictory DHS agent instructions fatally gunned down, a subdued man that posed no threat fatally shot after having his unbrandished firearm removed, with statements by high-ranking cabinet members also violating our Second Amendment rights. For this, the president and vice president must be impeached, convicted, and removed. There are innumerable more impeachable offenses that I could cover. Denying congressional oversight of immigrant detention centers that look increasingly like CCOT. Suing institutions like media, colleges, and law firms for billions of dollars while abusing the authorities of the executive branch agencies to extort settlements. Allowing a mega donor to advertise products on the White House front lawn. trading pardons for donations, levying illegal tariffs, weaponizing the Department of Justice against political adversaries while ignoring crimes of supporters and enablers, attempting to reverse birthright citizenship through executive order. For all of these high crimes and misdemeanors, the president and vice president must be impeached, convicted, and removed. The constitutional impeachment process is our best pathway to restore fidelity to our Constitution. This is why I'm here, standing in solidarity with Representative Green. I'm not here because I'm a Democrat or because I share his policy positions. I'm not a Democrat and know next to nothing about his policies. I'm here with him because Representative Green is the only member of Congress that has demonstrated the courage and conviction to invoke Rule 9 and force a vote on articles of impeachment. If Congress followed his example, we could remove the entire Trump administration. But Congress remains unconvinced of the urgency and necessity for them to honor their oaths. So we must persuade them with our unrelenting, uncompromising civil resistance. I am calling on average Americans everywhere to peacefully exercise your First Amendment rights en masse every day until this administration is removed and our democratic republic is restored. I believe in America. I believe in us. Just a nobody like me can take a stand for our Constitution and our democratic republic, then you can too. I hope you will join me in the defense of our republic. Thank you. Sir, respect to you.
One more time. Wow. Imagine if everyone in this country, everyone even in the resistance, everyone who has the platitude in this building to go on cable news or social media and tell you how bad Trump's violations of the Constitution are, had the bravery and courage of Major Watson to actually make their actions match their words. Imagine what a different situation we would be in. Once again, I'm so honored to have been here today with Major Watson and the veterans. We have a lot of wonderful people who helped make this possible, from Defenders of Our Republic, which I will remind everyone is Jason's organization that he formed, now an organization of dozens, if not hundreds of people committed to the impeach, convict, remove demand. I also want to thank About Face Veterans, Citizens Impeachment, Ralph Nader and Bruce Fine and Francesco. I want to thank so many unsung heroes of the resistance who make this possible every time. Courtney of the Handmaid Army, who's standing in front of me. The most relentless, tireless workers that make every one of these actions possible. Paulson McIntyre, who's doing our live stream today. This gentleman literally shows up, refuses payment from most of us anytime we need his help at an event in DC. This guy is a hero. We don't recognize these people nearly enough. Please join us in showing that the sacrifice of Major Watson is worth it. This event is not over, but the press conference is. We will continue with Major Watson's actions on the Hill. I thank you all so much for joining us today. Please visit removetheregime.com and spread the message about the pressure to invoke. Thank you all so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary, as you have seen, this important speech, few key takeaways. Most of them we have discussed on this channel. So, most of you are educated prepared and informed about all the topics that was discussed. And because you have been paying attention, everything that you heard makes sense. They gave you the tools, they gave you the information, and they told you the solution. Obama said, don't boo, vote. I said, don't boo, run. Run for office. You have an uncontended candidate. You have ideas that you disagree with them. You running against them alone adds your agenda ideas to their agenda ideas. If you see a candidate running and you don't see the ideas that you have or the change types of changes that you want to see, you have an agenda that looks a little bit different. When you run, your candidates start looking at your agenda. Oh, what is Chris's agenda here, huh? Well, let's take a look at Chris. Oh, ooh, he wants to end privatization of the prison system. Let me see the poll numbers for this. Oh shit, numbers are saying privatization of prison system is not looking too good. Maybe I should add that to my campaign. Did you know? You know, the thing that really stuck with me, and this is not the first time it stuck with me. He said, if you can keep it. Almost as if it came from a prophet. No, really. I don't like godifying the founding fathers, but that particular word feels like a verse from the Quran or the verse from a Bible. If you can keep it. Sometimes verses give you one sentence, and that sentence alone can get you in so much thoughts that you could write a book about it. You know, we came to the US, my family came to the US for education on a royal scholarship from the king, King Abdullah at the time. And then I had the honor of getting that scholarship from the king as well. But why do you think the US? US, land of opportunities, land of different people. My family wasn't trying to move to the US. They just came here for education and went back. But democratic ideals, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the great education system, and at some point, great safety and security. I don't know if that ever existed. Health, system was told to us is amazing. But is always greener on the other side, isn't it? When you live in a desert and you are a country that in 50 years is trying to modernize and you're going from 0 to 100 in 0.1 second, there's a lot that you're dropping and missing. The stability of Western countries, the history of how advanced they are and where they stand, creates a facade that there is nothing like it. You forget that there are other democracies, there are other countries that have capitalism, they have other countries with checks and balances, there are other countries with freedom of speech, there are other countries that have freedom of representation, there are other countries that allow you to have the right to practice your faith. Okay. So you start realizing this is not an only case scenario. You know, when you talk to US diplomats, US soldiers, the ideal of the United States really comes through. The ideals on the books, the ideals that the founding fathers left. But they don't tell you the details. They don't tell you about the slavery. They don't tell you about how police was created to catch slaves running away from their owners. They don't tell you about the KKK. They don't tell you about the far right. They don't tell you about extremism. They don't tell you about how you may not be welcome. They don't tell you about, they just tell you that this is the country, the strongest country, country with democracy, country with checks and balances, a country that gives you freedom of speech, and a country that gives you the freedom of practicing your religion. What happens when these things go? What happens when these things disappear? The writing on these papers that was signed by the founding fathers as strong as we are connected to each other in this country. The more we are divided by culture war, the more we are divided by political ideology, the more we are not focused on the fact that we are no longer a practicing, successful capitalistic economy. We are falling every day toward an oligopoly. Every other day you hear of a consolidation, a merger, of one company eating the other. They call it we are defeating competition. We're trying to improve. We're trying to get technology. But what happens when everything gets consolidated or merged? You lose the competition. You create an oligopoly where few businesses control everything. Have you ever seen the map that shows the companies that own all of the rest of the companies? Let's start with your daily consumption. P&G owns Down, Tide, uh, Gain, Joy, Ivory, Cheer, Dawn, Downy. They own all of this. They also own Boss. They own Lacoste. What else do they own? They own Bounty. They own Puff. They own Freeze. They own this bald guy. They own Swisher. They own your shaving stuff, your Pampers, tampons. They own different brands of your toothpaste. They're all the same company that owns them all. Medications. That is all right here. Pringles, Nestle. Let's look at what they own. L'Oreal, and then all of these companies. The Body Shop, Baby Food. They own Polo, Diesel. They own. I don't know if that says Giorgio Armani, but let's see what else. That's all Nestle. Kit Kat, other types of candy bars. They own all of these. Then anything that says Nestle on it is owned by them. Kraft also owns a whole bunch of different shit. And from your soda, from your Dr. Pepper to your Ritz to your Jello. I mean, this is exactly what's happening. What does Coca-Cola own? Oh, let's see. They own all of these: Coca-Cola, Sprite, the Minst, Fanta, the water company, Monster, the not the hydration thing, and then you have these water vitamin. Whoa, have you ever heard of Presco? They own a lot of shit. It mostly has to do with food. Quaker, they own Quaker, they own Yum, and then they go all the way to the chips, Lay's, Sun. Well, they also own Gatorade, Pepsi. This is all one company. What's going on here? Yes, same thing. What's going on here? Same thing. What's going on there? Same thing. There is one for the luxury market. Let me find it for you. Apparently, it is one family now that owns all of the luxury market. Oh yeah, this is for your favorite cars. Here you go. You thought your cars is owned by different companies? No, Habibi. Lexus. Toyota owns Toyota. Dahash. I don't know how to pronounce this. And Lexus. You have BMW owns Mini and they own Rolls Royce. Meanwhile, Volkswagen owns Porsche and Lamborghini and Bentley and the Audi and Skoda. The other companies, they're not that big. Now, Glee owns Volvo, and then these Glee, and I don't know what that is. Infinity Nissan owns Infinity and Datsun. GM owns a lot. They own different level. They own Buick. They own GMC. They own Chevrolet. They own Cadillac. I don't know what the rest are. Mercedes has the Smart and the Mercedes Benz. They are independent mostly. Honda has Honda and Honda Accord. Acura. No, Honda and Acura. I don't know why I said Honda Accord. And then you have I don't know what the name of this Stellantis. These motherfuckers all owns the Maserati, the Jeeps, the Pope car Fita, the previous Pope Francis Ram. Ford owns Lincoln Ford. Tata Motors owns Land Rover and Jaguar. Tata is an Indian company. They make the cheapest. They make the cheapest cars you can get. You can probably get a car for the brand new car for $2,000. They are so competitive to the U.S. market. They are not allowed to come here. You thought you like luxury, huh? Let me show you luxury. This is one guy. Has an empire. From Hublot, from Tag, Bulwery, Tiffany and Company. Tiffany and Company is the company that made the emblem of the United States, the eagle with the olive tree and the arrows. Tiffany is the company that designed that for the United States, believe it or not. Zenith, and then you have he owns Peloton. There's another guy. There is another guy. Sorry about this. But if you can tell, you no longer live in a world where there is actual competition. Let me see if this is the one. Sorry about that. Yep, this is the one. This is the first guy. This company. This is the first guy that we were looking at. From Louis Vuitton to Fendi You like your champagne? Look at this. You like your Hennessy? You thought you're buying from separate companies? Well, what about other luxury company like Dunhill, JL, IWC, Montblanc, Van Cleef? You thought you're buying from different companies? Oh, you're not even seeing the full thing. This is owned by Richmond. All of these. What about PPR? PPR owns GP, Gucci, Balenciaga. You thought you're buying only from different companies? Think again. This is a very cool, innovative watch. If you are into luxury watches, you might want to look this one up. I cannot afford it. Why sell? These are the brands that remain independent. They're not bought by big companies. I don't know why this is here, but apparently in a previous one, it was owned by someone that owns a whole bunch of them. But according to this one, these are independent. But I don't believe that. I don't believe these are independent because I've seen them being owned by other companies. Yeah. Let me give you more information. You think Honeywell, the company that you buy your air purifiers from, humidifiers, the filter, or the AC smart devices, you think that company only makes these type of products? Honeywell in Minnesota, Habibi, is making the missiles and the bombs that we are using to supply Israel with to hit the Lebanese and the people in Gaza and Minneapolis. You don't have to go far. In Minnesota, there's a different company that uses petroleum and to make the black thing that goes the black sheets that you put on top of the houses for the roof. I forgot what they're called. And they make it out of like petroleum products. Well, guess what? They don't have good filtration system, and all the gases from that is coming into our city in Minneapolis. I want to give you more information. Mayor Frey, the one that's supposed to protect the citizens of Minneapolis, was literally giving housing to ICE at the University of Minnesota. Things don't add up, y'all. Are we safe in Minnesota? Or are we not safe? I love you, ICE. I have done nothing wrong. We are just joking. Please leave me alone. I did nothing. We are just talking about Mayor Frey. We're not talking about you, okay? We love you. You're very strong. You're very powerful. Just don't come to me, okay? Ice out of Minnesota. Just leave us alone. Go. You know, I have an idea. Elon Musk is having a project to go to Mars. You can be ICE over there. Everything is new. Everything. Everything is. You can be ICE as much as you want. You can send back to people from Mars to Earth. Tell them you're not welcome there. Send them back to us. Just don't be ICE here. Please. I'm not saying dismantle ICE either. We love America. We love the American people. We are just having good conversation. I don't know if we come to the end of the show or is there more questions I haven't read. Well, this phone is dead. Let's look here. Any chat messages? Looks like there is. Mr. Global described the U.S. system as a corporatocracy under a system of a corporate socialism. I'd like to hear more about that. I'd like to hear more about that. But look at this. We got 417 people today. I hope that you are subscribed to me. If you haven't subscribed, take a second to subscribe to my channel. We do these live streams on a daily basis. This talk show would have ended maybe 45 minutes ago if I didn't plug it into the charger and unplug the headphones. So I hope that you could hear me just fine. But yes, I have a link for a 6-month free trial on my profile. Take a look at that if you want to get a free 6 months trial on the house. I also have, if you want to fund my work and help me pay for the work that I do, we fully depend on your support from listeners and readers like you. So if you could take a chance to become a paid subscriber, we have the cheapest subscription on the platform. $5 a month or $30 a year. If I could make it cheaper, I would. And the VIP is $1,000 a year. So consider becoming any of the following. I also have the Venmo on my profile if you prefer to send direct Venmo. It's in my bio. Anyways, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a recording. Join the conversation or join the community, put a like, put a comment, click that bell icon so you could receive the latest notification, and then come to us on Substack. I'm still working with trying to figure out a training for you guys about grassroots training. And I'm working with a journalist, a renowned journalist, and a professor from Columbia University, Deborah Amos, to come to the podcast. She agreed to come. We were just figuring out scheduling. So we're actively working to collaborate and invite not only any speakers, but professionals who have been in the field. Deborah Amos is not just anyone. She personally knew Jamal Khashoggi. So we can probably ask her a few questions about Jamal. We can probably ask her about the Middle East and ask her about Trump's foreign policy. So I think that would be really, really interesting conversation. And we can possibly discuss what are some of the basic tools that everyday people can use to become their own news investigator. So if there's a certain topic you want to investigate, we can ask her about what are the good ways to fact check. What are the tools in order for me to uh, look for sources of information? Who is providing these sources and information? Um, why not if we could ask her about some of these questions? I think these would be important topic that we could discuss. So I have a few ideas that I think you guys would benefit from. And I have a few guests that have already agreed to come. We're just figuring out the scheduling. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. There's more coming. Uh, I don't see any more questions. Since I don't see any more questions, I would like to say thank you for coming. And as always, مع السلامة, bye bye. وبالإنجليزي goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Y'all have a good one.